Part 32. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 311. Wutugu was 1 foot or 2 tall, and his whole body was covered in scale armor. Moreover, the scale armor was not a decoration or armor, but was embedded in his skin. It is precisely because of the scale armor that the protruding bones are as invulnerable as a golden bell and an iron shirt. Liu Bei received Jiasu's reminder and finally remembered that he had such a strange person under his command, so Liu Bei immediately ordered people to invite Wutugu to help him resist the Dragon Kingdom's army. Following Wutugu to Shu, there were also 30,000 vine armor soldiers under his command. These vine armor soldiers do not wear any armor. They only wear vine armor made from wild vines grown in the wilderness of the southwest, processed by skilled craftsmen, and then soaked in tung oil after being formed. It took 7,749 days to complete. This armor is light and strong, good at preventing arrows, invulnerable to knives and spears, does not sink when exposed to water, and is invincible on the battlefield. Although Ma Teng was once a prince, he was actually much worse than other generals under Lu Feng in terms of leading troops in war, especially since he believed that he had innate arrogance as General Ma Yuan of Fubo. After successive victories in Hanzhong and Beijing, Ma Teng also became proud, thinking that his military skills were superb, and that the Shu army was nothing more than this. Although Chen Gong saw Ma Teng's problem and repeatedly advised him not to relax his vigilance, Ma Teng still did not listen to the advice. Under Ma Teng's influence, the Ziliang army he led also became more and more arrogant. Coupled with the heat in Sichuan, many soldiers did not even wear armor or hold their weapons properly when they marched. Ma Teng, citing the lack of combat effectiveness of the Shu soldiers and his concern for the soldiers, did not even send scouts to explore the road or ambush during the march. In the end, Ma Teng finally paid the price for his carelessness. When the Liangzhou army left Beijing and marched towards Shizhen, they encountered an ambush at the border of Beijing. The one who ambushed them was the 30,000 Tengjia army led by Wutugu. When the 30,000 Tengjia troops charged down from the hillsides on both sides under the command of Wutugu, the Liangzhou army was indeed shocked. But when they calmed down and took a closer look, they found that the people who came were actually a group of aliens, and they felt contempt for them again. Not to mention that Dragon Emperor Lu Feng gained the reputation of Nyoda by stepping on the corpses of foreigners. Even their Ziliang army has been fighting against Jiang and Hu and other foreigners on the Han border like Liangzhou all year round. Moreover, facing the Jiang cavalry who defeated the Han officers and soldiers, their Ziliang army showed no weakness, especially the Ziliang cavalry, which was far more powerful than the Jiang cavalry. Ma Teng had been in northern Xinjiang for a long time, and in the eyes of the generals and soldiers who came into contact with and fought with the foreign races in northern Xinjiang, the reason why the foreign races were strong was because their cavalry had superb riding skills and accurate riding and shooting. Not only the Jiang people, but the more powerful Wuhuan, Xiannu, and Xianbei were also famous for their riding skills, and relied on their riding and archery skills to defeat the Han army without any ability to fight back. So when Ma Teng and others saw this alien force, they were not afraid at all, because not only did these aliens not ride horses, but the weapons in their hands were only simple knives, and they only wore armor made of wood. This kind of dress is really too shabby in the eyes of the Ziliang army. Ma Teng did not panic and directed the archers in the army to release arrows on the hillsides on both sides. However, the rain of arrows in the sky was like locusts passing through the border, shooting at this foreign army, but they did not dodge, and still rushed straight towards the Ziliang army. Immediately afterwards, a scene that shocked Ma Teng and others appeared. The rain of arrows fell on the alien troops, but they were bounced off by the vine armor on their bodies, but they themselves were unscathed. After realizing that bows and arrows were ineffective, Ma Teng commanded the Ziliang army, armed with swords and spears, to engage in hand-to-hand combat with the foreign troops. But the results are still incredible. The Ziliang army's swords and spears either slashed or stabbed at the bodies of the foreign soldiers, but they still did not dodge and directly slashed at the Ziliang soldiers with their swords. I originally thought they were exchanging lives for their lives, but I didn't expect that only the Liangzhou soldiers fell in the end, and the weapons the Liangzhou soldiers slashed at these rattan armor soldiers were all bounced away by the rattan armor on the other side without exception. Upon seeing this, Pang De rushed towards the vine armor soldier with a broadsword. However, no matter how hard he slashed, he still could not break through the opponent's vine armor defense. Just when Pound was about to retreat, he discovered a giant man more than 1 foot tall behind the vine armor soldiers, directing the battle of the vine armor soldiers. This person is Wu Tugu. Pang De knew that this man must be the commander-in-chief of this foreign race, so he rushed forward, hoping to capture the thief first and capture the king first. Wu Tugu also noticed Pound rushing toward him, and knew that this man must be the main general of the Dragon Kingdom army, so he came to fight Pound with weapons. Pang De originally thought that Wu Tugu was like other foreign military generals, with only brute strength and no martial arts skills. However, once they started fighting, he discovered that Wu Tugu not only reacted quickly, but was also invulnerable. The most important thing is that Wu Tugu is so powerful that it seems like he just waved the knife lightly, and half of Pang De's body felt numb. Facing such a barbarian monster who was 10 feet tall, covered in scales, invulnerable, and whose combat power reached a peerless level, Pang De knew that he was definitely no match for him. So before he was injured, he hurriedly fled back. When Chen Gong saw that Pang De, the most powerful man in the army, had retreated from the formation, he knew that there was no way to save the battle, so he suggested that Ma Teng lead the army to retreat 100 miles and set up camp. On the other side, due to the strong offensive of the Dragon Kingdom, even Cao Ren, Cao Hong, and other 5 good generals were killed. Cao was so angry that he had a headache and was bedridden. Seeing this, 11's He suggested to Cao, Your Majesty, now that the Dragon Kingdom has accumulated enough strength after a year of rest, even if our country and the Shu Kingdom join forces, they will never be the Dragon Kingdom's opponent. Based on the following suggestions, in order to alleviate the crisis in Wei State, Your Majesty should send people north to contact Xianbei King Kabinange and persuade him to form an alliance with Shu Wei and go south to attack the Dragon State. Cao had always respected Lu Feng for his work in pacifying the foreign tribes in various places for the Han people and bringing them to the throne. As a role model, he is prepared to one day kill all foreigners for the Han people like Lu Feng. But the situation at this time is grim. If we don't join forces with Xianbei, I'm afraid Wei won't be able to hold on much longer. Even if the Dragon Kingdom will not attack Yangzhou this time, Cao's civil servants and generals will be wiped out by the Dragon Kingdom, and he will have no way to continue to develop. So Cao thought briefly for a while, then agreed to 11's He's suggestion and sent an envoy to Xianbei to convince King Kabinange of Xianbei to send troops south to attack Yozhu. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 312. The person Cao sent to Xianbei was Sun Qian, a famous scholar in Suzhou. Historically, since Liu Bei took over the position of Suzhou from Tao Qian, Sun Qian has been following Liu Bei and became Liu Bei's most trusted right-hand man. Although Sun Qian was a scribe, he was not known for his strategy. The most powerful thing about him is his eloquence. He has served as Liu Bei's envoy to various places. Sun Qian's greatest contribution was to contact Liu Bei with people who could defect to him. Liu Bei defected to Cao soon after leaving Suzhou. Later Liu Bei betrayed Cao and wanted to join forces with Yuan Shao in the north, so he sent Sun Qian as an envoy to form an alliance with Yuan Shao. You must know that Yuan Shao is a very arrogant person, and Sun Qian's ability to fulfill his mission shows that he is very capable of diplomacy. After the defeat of Guandu, Liu Bei left Yuan Shao and prepared to join Liu Biao, and sent Sun Qian as an envoy. In the end, Sun Qian fulfilled his mission and allowed Liu Bei to successfully become Liu Baiao's staff as a guest minister. In this life, because of Lu Feng's emergence, a lot of history was changed, and Suzhu was captured by Cao. But gold will shine no matter where it is, and anyone with talent can stand out. Sun Qian is such a person. Although he is not outstanding in strategy, he was discovered by Cao with his extraordinary eloquence and accepted as a counselor. Compared with Liu Bei, who conquered his subordinates in the name of benevolence, Cao relied on his true temperament and heroic appearance. These two completely opposite personality charms can also conquer talents. After receiving Cao's order, Sun Qian quickly headed north towards the territory of the Xianbei people. Since the north has been completely monopolized by the Dragon Kingdom, Sun Qian went to Xianbei this time in order not to expose his identity, so he could only ride out lightly. In order to ensure Sun Qian's safety, Cao sent a tiger to Sun Qian, escorted by leopard cavalry soldiers. After more than half a month of rapid march, Sun Qian finally bypassed many hurdles and reached the Xianbei prairie north of Bingzhou. After some searching and inquiring, Sun Qian finally came to the Xianbei royal court located in Danhan Mountain. Since the death of Lao Dan Yutan Shiwei, the Xianbei tribe has been divided for a time, and its strength has been greatly reduced. The Xianbei tribe that Lu Feng destroyed back then was one of the several tribes that split off. Since Ke Baining was elected as the new Chanyu because of his bravery, fair law enforcement, and not greed for money, he integrated all Xianbei ministries and learned the culture and tactics of the Central Plains from the Han people, which increased Xianbei's strength again. Sun Qian met Ke Baining in the Xianbei royal court and proposed an alliance on behalf of Wei Emperor Cao. However, Ke Baining heard this and said angrily, Lu Feng is the great Han dragon general of your Han people. He has killed countless nomadic peoples in the north, including Goguryeo, Fuyu and other tribes. The fighting power of his subordinates is so powerful that when the ethnic minorities are by no means their opponents, you actually want to encourage me to attack the Dragon Kingdom. Do you want to push me into the pit of fire? Come on, pull these two people out and chop them down. The head is dedicated to the Dragon Emperor to prove this Chanyu's respect and loyalty to the Dragon Kingdom. After Ke Baining finished speaking, Xianbei warriors immediately pulled Sun Qian and the Tiger and Leopard Knight out of the door. However, faced with such a crisis, the Tiger and Leopard cavalry soldiers shouted for help, but Sun Qian did not beg for mercy, but left. When Ke Baining saw this, he was confused, so he stopped the warrior and asked Sun Qian, you are about to be taken out and beheaded, what else is so funny? Sun Qian still smiled and said, I am just laughing at Dan. If you don't know that a catastrophe is approaching, but you don't listen to my good intentions to help you resolve the crisis, then I will wait for Shanyu on the road to Huanquan. I believe that within 2 years, you will come to Huanquan with me. Ke Baining listened. Couldn't help but said angrily, you are looking for death. If you don't tell me today how disaster is approaching, I will not let you die so easily. After hearing this, Sun Qian restrained his smile and said, Shanyu UK knows that we Han people have a saying, those who are not from my race will have different hearts. This sentence is also often said by the Dragon Emperor. The meaning is that as long as you are not a Han, sooner or later you will do something detrimental to the Han. Therefore, the Dragon Emperor has been committed to wiping out all the foreign races around the Han dynasty. The reason why he has not come to attack the royal court of Danhanshan yet is because the Central Plains is in chaos now. He is busy fighting with various princes and has no time to deal with Shanyu. When the Dragon Emperor unifies the Central Plains, he will definitely send troops to eliminate all foreign races, and Xianbei, as the most powerful foreign race in the north, will definitely bear the brunt. Shanyu believes that by then, without the constraints of Wei and Shu, can the Xianbei cavalry withstand the Dragon Kingdom's army? Once the Dragon Kingdom breaks through the Xianbei royal court, according to what the Dragon Emperor did among foreign tribes such as Goguryeo, Chanyu, Do you think you will still have a way to survive? Kabi could listen. Sun Qian's words immediately broke into a cold sweat. After thinking for a long time, the more he thought about it, the more he felt that Sun Qian's words made sense, so he finally agreed to form an alliance with the Wei state, and immediately promised to attack the Dragon state from both sides with the Wei state. After Sun Qian left, Kabanen knew that if he could not wipe out the Dragon Kingdom in one fell swoop, Lu Feng would definitely retaliate against him, so he sent his general 300,000 Xianbei troops to attack Yozhou, Bingzhou and other places in the Dragon Kingdom. However, Baininj didn't know that his every move was under Lu Feng's surveillance. Lu Feng had long known that Xianbei was a time bomb. Once Shu or Wei failed to defeat him, they would most likely contact Xianbei and attack from the north and south. Therefore, he had already sent a large number of scouts to closely monitor the Xianbei people. After learning that Kabaininj sent an army of 300,000 to attack Yozhou, Lu Feng immediately ordered White Horse General Zhao Yun to lead the White Horse army to resist Xianbei in Yozhou. He originally wanted to wait until he annexed Chu and Wei and unified the Central Plains, and then attacked foreign tribes such as Xianbei and Xiongnu to expand externally, but he did not expect that Xianbei would take the initiative to invade at this time. In this case, Lu Feng would naturally not be soft on Xianbei. The most powerful thing in Xianbei is the cavalry, but Beimayi was originally a nightmare for the Xianbei cavalry during the Gongsun Zan period. After changing his profession, he changed from the 6th level peak unit to the 7th level unit, and his strength increased greatly. Facing the menacing 300,000 Xianbei cavalry, the 200,000 Yozhou army led by 3,000 White Horse Yukon were not afraid at all. Zhao Yun first ordered the 100,000 troops to be divided into two parts and ambush on both sides of the selected battlefield, while he himself led the White Horse Yikong and 100,000 troops to face the enemy head-on. After the Xianbei cavalry charged, Bai Mai drew his bow and arrows, and took turns shooting at the enemy. Since Baima Yikong's bows and arrows also have the characteristics of Longchen blacksmith, they not only have a longer range, but also have extremely strong penetrating power. After several rounds of shooting, the Xianbei army suffered tens of thousands of casualties. Zhao Yun then led the army to charge towards the Xianbei army. The Xianbei army, which had been frightened by Baima Yikong, was immediately defeated under the impact of the enemy forces from the front and the left and right. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 313. Originally, the Xianbei cavalry had extremely powerful combat effectiveness. Not to mention the officers and soldiers of the Han dynasty, even the Xiongnu, who were once invincible in the northern frontier of the Han dynasty, had to avoid their edge. The Xiongnu were the biggest opponents of the Western Han dynasty during the Western Han dynasty. Not only did they suppress the Han army and were unable to fight back, Xianbei was also enslaved by the Xiongnu for a long time. After the Xiongnu split, the Xianbei people had the strength to fight against the Xiongnu twice and resisted oppression. At the end of the Eastern Han dynasty, Tan Shiwei became the leader of Xianbei, led the Xianbei cavalry in the south and north, and established a great foundation. Not only did they establish a royal court in Danhan Mountain, they plundered the Eastern Han dynasty to the south, resisted Dingling to the north, repulsed Fuyu to the east, and attacked Wuzun to the west, completely occupying the Xiongnu's homeland, and even once attacked the Japanese country, covering more than 14,000 miles from east to west. More than 7,000 miles from north to south. Emperor Huan of the Han dynasty was very concerned about Tan Shiwei and wanted to make him king and ask for a marriage. However, Tan Shiwei not only refused, but stepped up his invasion and plundering, establishing 3 tribes, each under the leadership of an adult. It was not until the 4th year of Guanghe dynasty that Tan Shiwei died of illness and Xianbei fell into division. But now Kabaneng has become the leader of Xianbei and has reunified the central and eastern Xianbei, making the Xianbei people once again become a force that cannot be ignored in the north. The Xianbei people were able to fight until the Han dynasty had to beg for mercy in the form of a marriage, and they refused without fear. They have been unrivaled in the north for many years, relying on their powerful cavalry. Due to year-round grazing, both men and women of the Xianbei people can mount horses to fight, so their warriors have received excellent riding training since childhood. In addition, they do not grow food and practice hunting all year round, so they have developed good riding and archery skills. These are the biggest advantages that allow Xianbei warriors to defeat all opponents, including the Han army. However, the Xianbei cavalry has strong combat effectiveness, but its weakness is also very obvious, that is, it is not good at fighting against the wind. When things go smoothly, the Xianbei cavalry can ignore everyone. Even when they are evenly matched, they can take the lead with their own riding and shooting abilities. But once they are at a disadvantage in a battle, or are slightly tricked into ambushing, the Xianbei warriors' mentality will quickly collapse, and they will immediately flee. In his early years, Zhao Yun served as the leader of Gong Sunzan's White Horse Yikong team. He followed Gong Sunzan to fight against Xianbei all year round, so he was very aware of the shortcomings of Xianbei warriors. He took advantage of the fact that the Xianbei people were not good at fighting against the wind and easily collapsed when encountering an ambush. He set up ambushes on both sides of the battlefield. At the same time, he used the shooting skills of the White Horse Yikong to give the Xianbei people a preemptive start, making them instantly passive. Then the ambushes on both sides were released, and the weaknesses of the Xianbei people were fully exposed. Under the strong fighting power of Bama Yikong, the only way was to be defeated. The 300,000 Xianbei army scattered and fled. Zhao Yun led the 200,000 Dragon Kingdom army to pursue them in the rear. In the end, nearly 100,000 people were killed. Zhao Yun also picked off the commander of Xianbei's troops this time. Defeated the Xianbei army that invaded Yuzhu, but Lu Feng was not ready to stop there. The creed he believed in was that those who offend our Han people will be killed no matter how far away they are, and those who offend our Han people will be killed to death. Before he had time to pacify Xianbei, Xianbei dared to provoke him first, and sent troops to attack while the Dragon Kingdom was fighting Shu and Wei. This obviously touched Lu Feng's bottom line. After the Xianbei army fled back to Danhan Mountain, Lu Feng took Zhao Yun as the commander and Wei Su, Ho Chang, Song Xian, and Cao Xing, among Lu Buletin's 8 capable generals, with an army of 200,000, divided into 2 groups. Expedition to the north from Bingzhou and Yuzhu, and entered the hinterland of Xianbei. Lu Feng's order to Zhao Yun and others was to kill all the men in Xianbei and keep all the women as slaves, responsible for taming war horses for the Dragon Kingdom in the future. He wants to turn Xianbei's territory and the entire Danhan Mountain into the largest horse farm in the Dragon Kingdom. Zhao Yun, Wei Su, and others naturally did not dare to disobey Lu Feng's order, and immediately divided their troops into 2 groups to attack Danhan Mountain. Among them, the White Horse Yikong and an army of 100,000 led by Zhao Yun took the lead in reaching the foot of Danhan Mountain because they set out from Yuzhu, which was close to the hinterland of Xianbei. On the other side, when Bai was able to learn that his 300,000 Xianbei cavalry not only failed to capture the Dragon Kingdom, but were defeated by Bama Yikong after just a battle at the Yuzhu border, he was so angry that he almost fainted. Past. He knew that if he failed to capture the Dragon Kingdom in one fell swoop this time and killed Lu Feng, he would inevitably suffer violent revenge from the Dragon Emperor, and even the entire Xianbei might be destroyed. But in the face of this crisis, he simply couldn't figure out why his 300,000 strong army was defeated after just one battle in Yuzhu. Moreover, he learned from the soldiers who escaped that it was Bama Yikong who resisted the Xianbei army's attack from the front. So Baininj was even more confused. He had fought against Gong Sunzan countless times. Although Bama Yikong was indeed very powerful, he could not cause such great damage to himself in a head-on confrontation with an army of 300,000 people. Of course Baininj didn't know that the current White Horse Yikong was completely different from the army under Gongsun Zan. Although most of the soldiers still come from the White Horse followers of Gongsun Zan, they have been promoted from the peak of the 6th level arms to the early stage of the 7th level arms. Although it is only a half-level improvement, their combat effectiveness has increased exponentially. However, Baininj had no time to think about his problem, because Zhao Yun's 100,000 troops had already arrived at the foot of Danhan Mountain. Cabaneng stood on the royal court and looked at the Dragon Kingdom's 100,000 army from a distance. He could see that the 3,000 cavalry with white horses, white armor, and white robes headed by the 100,000 army were none other than the White Horse Yikong. The commander of this 100,000 strong army was the young man with the highest military force among Gongsun Zan's Bama Yikong. So Cabaneng did not dare to relax and used all Xianbei's troops to fight against Zhao Yun's army. The two sides fought several duels in a grassland at the foot of Danhan Mountain. Although the Xianbei army was numerous and had superb riding skills, Zhao Yun was not at a disadvantage at all. He used the strength of Bama Yikong and cooperated with the cooperation of various branches of the Long Kingdom army to fight with Xianbei's army for many days and resisted Xianbei's attack. Not long after, the 100,000-strong Dragon Kingdom army led by Wei Su and others set out from Bingzhou. After many days, they finally reached the rear of Danhan Mountain and launched an attack from behind the Xianbei army. Cabaneng thought that the Dragon Kingdom had only an army of Bama Yikong to attack him, so he spent all his troops on Zhao Yun, never expecting that an enemy army would emerge from his rear. Under the two-sided attack of Zhao Yun and Wei Su's 200,000 troops, the Xianbei warriors were defeated again. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 314. When the Xianbei army was defeated, Zhao Yun, Wei Su and others chased the Xianbei deserters all the way to the Xianbei royal court and massacred most of the entire Xianbei army. These included hundreds of thousands of Xianbei soldiers and hundreds of thousands of Xianbei men. As for the women of the Xianbei tribe, Zhao Yun followed Lu Feng's orders and distributed them as slaves. He also drove all hundreds of thousands of Xianbei women to build a horse farm at the foot of Danhan Mountain to tame war horses for the Dragon Kingdom. In addition, hundreds of thousands of Xianbei soldiers and people escaped from the clutches of Zhao Yun's army. However, because the royal court of Danhan Mountain had been occupied by Zhao Yun, they had to move further north to Siberia. So far, the army led by Zhao Yun has successfully completed the tasks assigned to him by Lu Feng. Subsequently, in accordance with the orders given by Lu Feng before departure, he left Wei Su, Song Xian, Ho Chang, and others in the palace of Danhanshan to guard the Xianbei territory, and supervised the Xianbei female slaves to build race courses and train war horses. And he himself returned to the Dragon Kingdom with his army. Since all Xianbei in the north have been wiped out, yet here are no foreign races in the northern region outside of Hebing Prefecture, and these two prefectures are no longer frontiers, but have become the interior of the Dragon Kingdom. As for the Xianbei territory of Danhan Mountain, which became a new frontier, with Wei Su and others guarding it, Zhao Yun no longer had to stay in Yuzhou with his army, but returned directly to the capital, Luoyang. At this time, in the Luoyang Palace, Lu Feng had received the battle report from Ma Teng and Chen Gong from the West Route Army. Compared with the three armies of the East, North, and Middle Routes that fought consecutive battles and triumphant songs all the way, the West Route Army became the only army of the Dragon Kingdom that lost battles and lost soldiers and generals. This also made Ma Teng, who regarded himself as the queen of famous generals, ashamed. However, Lu Feng was not angry about the defeat of Ma Teng's army. In fact, when Ma Teng's army set off from Liangzhou, Lu Feng knew that if any of the four armies would be defeated, it would be Ma Teng's Liangzhou State Army. Because Yuzhou, which Ma Teng mainly attacked, was the base camp of the Shu Kingdom, and the other three armies attacked Suzhou, Jingzhou, and Yuzhou. Except for Suzhou, which was Cao's territory, the remaining two states were jointly ruled by Shu and Wei. And it was Wei state's territory that was the first to be hit. Under such circumstances, the forces of the Wei state will inevitably be dispersed across the three states to resist the Dragon State army. However, the military strength of the Wei state is not as good as that of the Dragon State. After being divided into three groups, each group will not have many troops and will be difficult to resist. Stay away from the attacks of Ma Chao, Dian Wei, and others. But Shu is different. On the one hand, whether it is Jingzhou or Yuzhou, the counties occupied by Shu have not been attacked for the time being, so Liu Bei can temporarily concentrate his forces to deal with Ma Teng's army. On the other hand, even if the territories of Jingzhou and Yuzhou were attacked together, Yizhou, as Liu Bei's home base, would inevitably have stronger defense forces than other places. In addition, although the national power of Shu is not as good as that of Wei, in terms of top combat power, Shu is far more powerful than Wei. Although the number of civil servants and generals under Liu Bei is not as good as that of Cao, the quality of the generals is higher. Both Guan Yu and Zhang Fei are at the peak of super generals. Together with Chen Dao, who is also a super general, there are a total of 3 super generals in Shu. In addition, there are the first-class generals Zhang Xiu and Wei Yan who are at the top of the first class and may break through to the ranks of super generals at any time. It can be said that although there are few generals, as long as they can be named, they are above the first class. Although Cao has many generals, most of them are second-rate to first-rate. As for the super generals, there is only one Su Chu. These are all external factors that made Lu Feng know that Ma Teng's army would fail, but the real internal reason was that Ma Teng's army itself was the weakest among the 4. The middle road has the super general Dian Wei and the super strategist Zhou Yu, the east road has the super general Ma Chao and the super strategist Su Shu, the north road has the super general Tai Shi Ci, as well as 3 first-class top generals Zhang Liao, Su Huang, and Zhang He, as well as Tian Feng and Zhe Xiao. 2 great counselors. On the other hand, in the West Army, Ma Teng himself was only a second-rate general, his most powerful warrior, Pang De, was a mid-level first-rate general, and Chen Gong also did not reach the level of a super counselor. Therefore, in Lu Feng's mind, Ma Teng was destined to fail. But although Lu Feng had long seen that Ma Teng was bound to lose, he did not tell him in advance, but deliberately let him suffer a little defeat. Because although Ma Teng had surrendered the whole country, Lu Feng didn't know how loyal he was to him, because Ma Teng had been in Liangzhou, and even after surrendering, he didn't have time to go to the transfer hall. Moreover, Ma Teng's pound and the hundreds of thousands of Liangzhou troops have always been loyal to Ma Teng. Therefore, in order to stabilize his position, Ma Teng's Liangzhou army must be weakened, and in order not to make Ma Teng suspicious, he cannot directly take over the military power of the Ziliang army from him. Therefore, Lu Feng came up with the idea of a euro using the Shu kingdom to consume Ma Teng's troops so that even if he wanted to rebel in the future, he would not have enough troops to pose a threat. However, Lu Feng did not expect that in order to defeat Ma Teng's army, Liu Bei sent invulnerable monsters like Wu Tugu. But now that the Liangzhou army was defeated, nearly half of the 100,000 troops were consumed by the stubborn Tengjia soldiers. Lu Feng's goal had been achieved, and Ma Teng's letter for help had been sent to Luoyang, and troops would be sent for rescue next. Otherwise, it will not only arouse Ma Teng's suspicion, but even Ma Chao may be dissatisfied after knowing about it. More importantly, Ma Teng's Liangzhou army alone will not be able to withstand the protruding vine armor soldiers. Moreover, Wu Tugu is a peerless general, and ordinary military generals are no match for him. In the Dragon Kingdom formation, the only one who could possibly defeat Wu Tugu one-on-one, apart from Lu Feng himself, was Lu Buletin. Therefore, after Zhao Yun returned from pacifying Xianbei, Lu Feng ordered Lu Buletin to take his Bingzhou Wolf cavalry to Yizhu to join forces with Ma Teng to attack Shu. The Bingzhou Wolf cavalry has been upgraded to the 7th level cavalry. No army in Shu can be a match for the Wolf cavalry, and Lu Buletin has become a top military general after his transfer. There is no problem for him to fight against Wu Tugu. As for Lu Feng himself, he decided to march personally and lead all the troops of the Dragon Kingdom to attack the Wei Kingdom. Following Lu Feng on his expedition to the Wei Kingdom, in addition to his bodyguards the Red Blood Dragon Cavalry, there were also Guoqia, the left Prime Minister of the Dragon Kingdom, Zhao Yun, the General of Genese, and his white horse Yi Kong. In addition, hundreds of thousands of ordinary troops from the Dragon Kingdom followed. Sun Yu, the right Prime Minister, stayed in Luoyang to take charge of the overall situation, responsible for the logistics of the army and handling the politics of the Dragon Kingdom. Counting the previous Ma Chao, Dian Wei, Tai Shi Ci, and the 5 Tiger Legion, a total of 1 million troops attacked the Wei state, and they must be wiped out in one fell swoop. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 315. The Dragon Kingdom accompanied the Dragon Emperor on an expedition to conquer the Wei Kingdom, with as many as 1 million troops. This force was greater than the combined forces of Wei and Shu. Coupled with super generals such as Zhao Yun, Dian Wei, Ma Chao, and Tai Shicai, and super counselors such as Guoqia, Zhou Yu, and Su Shu, Wei was unable to resist. And with Lu Feng's personal expedition, the morale of the Dragon Kingdom's army, which was already at an advantage, soared. Not only the soldiers charging at the front, but also generals such as Dian Wei and Zhang Liao also wanted to show off their strength in front of the Dragon Emperor. Ability. In particular, Zhang He, Su Huang, Zhang Liao and Gao Shun, the generals who later joined Lu Feng's command, proved their strength so that they could be more appreciated by Lu Feng in the future. The counselors Zhou Yu, Tian Feng, Su Shu, and Zhu Xiao also tried their best to come up with various strategies, also hoping to make Lu Feng treat them differently. Under the fierce attack of such a general of the Dragon Kingdom, the Wei army, which was short of major generals, was retreating steadily. Compared with before, it could resist a little bit, but now it has no power to fight back. As the Wei army's front-line battle went unfavorably, chaos and depression began to appear within the Wei state. Seeing that domestic morale was getting lower and lower, and the front-line soldiers had completely lost their will to fight, Wei Emperor Cao became even more anxious. After thinking for a long time, Cao finally made a decision. He said to 11's Hike, I know that with the strength of the Wei state, it must not be able to defeat the Dragon state, so I will alliance with the Shu state. I thought that we and the Shu state would resist the Dragon state together, and we would attack and defend each other. But I didn't expect that the Dragon Emperor would suddenly start a war with our 2 countries at the same time. This not only disrupted my development plan, but also made the offensive and defensive alliance between our 2 countries useless. Now the war between our country and the Dragon Kingdom has entered a life and death stage. Not only is the battle on the front line unfavorable, but the people in Yangzhou and even Jianyi have already become depressed. If this continues, our own people may have surrendered before the Dragon Kingdom's army reaches Jianyi. In order for our soldiers to be able to cheer up again, and in order for us to be able to withstand the attack of the Dragon Kingdom temporarily, I decided to lead the expedition like the Dragon Emperor and personally go to the front line to command the battle. 11's Hike listened to Cao's words and hurriedly advised, Your Majesty, don't be impatient. The Dragon Kingdom's army is too powerful and there are fierce generals like Zhao Yundian Wei. If Your Majesty goes there, there will be danger. Therefore, please stay in Jianyi. Zhike is willing to go to Suzhou battlefield to command the army in Your Majesty's place. To resist the Dragon Emperor, Zhike is willing to use all his knowledge in this life to block the Dragon Emperor north of the Yangtze River and prevent them from attacking Yangzhou. Cao listened to 11's Hike's words and said with a smile, I know, although I am strategizing compared with Hike, I can boost morale and rekindle the hope of the soldiers. Although Hike can tell the soldiers how to fight, no matter how many strategies you have, the soldiers will not be able to fight. What's the use of not being able to complete the task you assigned? 11G realized that Cao was telling the truth. The effect of his command on the battlefield would definitely be inferior to that of Cao himself. In this way, he would be involved. But it has no effect, it is indeed more gain than loss. So 11's Hike stopped persuading Cao. He just suggested in this case, Hike will not dissuade your majesty, but your majesty wants to lead the expedition in person, so Hike begged to go with your majesty. After all, there are many counselors in the Dragon Kingdom, such as Joyu and Guokaden Yutaka and others are all full of tricks, and his majesty cannot handle them alone. Cao nodded and said, Hike is coming with me. Not only can he boost morale, but he can also command the army to defeat the enemy. It's natural. Seeing Cao's agreement, Hike continued, although the Tiger and Leopard cavalry were severely damaged and General Zai died, according to Zongd, there are still more than 1,000 remaining troops of the Tiger and Leopard cavalry. Please call them back to regroup, as His Majesty's personal bodyguard, to protect His Majesty's safety. In addition, Su Chu, the commander of the palace guards, is the most powerful general in our country. He should be the only one who can compete with Zhao Yun, Dian Wei, and others. Therefore, Your Majesty, please appoint Su Chu as the new commander-in-chief of the Tiger and Leopard cavalry. Accompanying His Majesty every day, always surrounding His Majesty's safety. After hearing this, Cao continued to nod and said, the Tiger and Leopard cavalry are the most elite troops under my command, and they are also the hard work of Zai. I will naturally take them back. Without a suitable commander, before, I would personally take him with me as a guard. As for Su Chu, he is the commander-in-chief of the palace guards and is responsible for protecting my safety. Now that I am marching in person, he will naturally follow me. Not only can he protect my it is safe, and when necessary, he needs to go into battle to resist the generals of the Dragon Kingdom. 11's Hike saw that Cao agreed to all his suggestions, so he stopped talking and started thinking about how to retreat from the enemy. Although he knew that since the Dragon Kingdom launched such a large-scale battle this time, not only all the military generals came out, but even the Dragon Emperor personally marched, he naturally wanted to decide in one battle and eliminate the Wei Kingdom. And with the strength of the Wei state, it is almost impossible to defeat the Dragon state. But he could only try his best to delay the Long Kingdom's attack as much as possible, at least to defend Yangzhou and leave a little breathing space for the Wei Kingdom. According to intelligence, the Shu Kingdom has achieved some victories. When Liu Bei drives Ma Teng out of Yizhu, he will definitely send troops to rescue the Wei Kingdom. By then, with the support of Shu, we might be able to reverse the disadvantage. That's why 11G set the goal to hold back the Dragon Kingdom's army and wait for Shu Kingdom's rescue. With the arrival of Wei Emperor Cao and Prime Minister 11's Hike, the morale of the Wei army really increased. Under 11's Hike's planning, the Wei state barely blocked the attack of Ma Chao and Su Shu. However, neither Cao nor 11's Hike were excited about this achievement, because they knew that it was only temporary. Ma Chao's troops were just the vanguard. By the time Lu Feng's army arrived at the Suzhou front line, it was still difficult for the Wei soldiers to withstand the Dragon State's offensive. But what puzzled Cao and 11's Hike was that after Cao arrived in Suzhou, Lu Feng actually slowed down his attack. Not only did Ma Chao's vanguard army stop attacking after encountering stubborn resistance from the Wei army, but even Lu Feng's main army stopped at Xiaopai State and did not continue to march south. Just when Cao and 11's Hike were puzzled by the abnormal behavior of the Dragon Kingdom's army, several palace guards came from Yangzhou, hurriedly found Cao, and reported, "Your Majesty is not well." The Jinfan army of the Dragon Kingdom unexpectedly they came from the moat and raided Jianyi. Now the imperial city is in danger. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 316. Gan Ning's Jinfan Navy took the water route to directly attack Jianyi, the capital of Wei State. This was exactly what Lu Feng had planned with Guojia and Sun Yu before setting off. The day before Lu Feng was preparing to go on a personal expedition, Sun Yu found Lu Feng and asked Lu Feng, "Now our army has gained a clear advantage on the Suzhou front line against Wei. Your Majesty will go to Suzhou at this time. Meng Qi, Yuanji, and others will inevitably being greatly encouraged, and the other soldiers want to show themselves in front of His Majesty. They will inevitably burst into combat effectiveness far beyond ordinary. In this case, our army will definitely turn its advantage into victory. But has your Majesty ever thought about it? If our army's offensive is unstoppable by then, Wei will definitely not sit still and wait for death, so what will Cao do to deal with it?" Lu Feng couldn't help but be stunned after hearing Sun Yu's words. If he personally conquered the country, the morale of the Long Kingdom soldiers would definitely be improved. It rose sharply and then gained an even greater advantage, which he had long expected. But he really didn't think about how Cao would respond. So Lu Feng replied, "I don't know what Cao will do, but no matter what he does, he can't change Wei's defeat. I will definitely finish his work in one battle and destroy Wei." Sun Yu listened to Lu Feng. After hearing Sun Yu's words, he bowed and said, "Your Majesty's determination, Yu naturally knows, and Yu has thought of a strategy that can help your Majesty destroy the Wei Kingdom faster." After hearing Sun Yu's words, Lu Feng couldn't help but his eyes lit up, and he hurriedly asked, "If Wenruo has any clever ideas, please tell me quickly." Faced with Lu Feng's inquiry, Sun Yu said calmly, "First of all, we should think in advance that His Majesty will visit the battlefield in person. The combat effectiveness of our soldiers has greatly increased. What will Cao do? Action. In Yu's opinion, if His Majesty's personal expedition has boosted morale, then Cao will definitely be inspired, and there is more than a 90% chance that he will follow His Majesty's personal expedition. Once Cao does this, the Wei army's combat effectiveness will also be improved. At this time, our army should temporarily cease the war and avoid its edge. And as Cao leads the army away from Jianyi, Jianyi's defense will definitely become very empty. This wine gives our army the opportunity to directly seize Jianyi. Your Majesty, don't forget, General Gan Ning's Jinfan Navy is on standby at any time, ready to go into battle. Wei State's national Jianyi was built adjacent to the Yangtze River, and the water of its moat was introduced from the Yangtze River. If General Gan led the Jinfan Navy along the Yangtze River directly embedded in the Jianyi moat, launching a surprise attack on Jianyi will definitely have an unexpected effect. After hearing Sun Yu's words, Lu Feng was overjoyed, and with Gan Ning's 30,000 Jinfan army, he captured the empty Jianyi city and not difficult. Therefore, before setting off, Lu Feng ordered Gan Ning to quietly enter the Yangtze River from the East China Sea with 30,000 Jinfan troops, and ambush in the waters near Jianyi. After his army arrives, if Cao leaves with the Jianyi garrison, he will wait for him for 2 days, then sail his ships into the moat and attack the city with all his strength. Therefore, after Ma Chao's vanguard army encountered stubborn resistance, Lu Feng did not rush to lead the main army to support, but waited for news from Gan Ning. After all, it was when the Wei army was at its peak, and a head-on confrontation with it would inevitably cause unnecessary losses. When both Lu Feng and Ma Chao stood still, Cao and 11's He were not only very confused, but Cao also asked 11's He to analyze why Lu Feng stood still. But at that time, 11's He did not think that the Dragon Kingdom would attack Jianyi by water, because from Qingzhou to Jianyi, one had to pass through the East China Sea, and 11's He did not know that the Dragon Kingdom had already built warships that could sail in the sea. Although the Dragon Kingdom warships were used against Yuan Shao, they were only responsible for transporting soldiers and did not engage in combat, so 11's He did not know about it. Therefore, facing Cao's questions, 11's He didn't know the reason. He thought about various possibilities, and finally said to Cao, perhaps the Dragon Emperor thought that your majesty was leading the expedition in person, and our army's morale was strong, so he didn't want to fight with our army at this time. As the saying goes, one can gain momentum, and then it will weaken again, and all three will be exhausted. He must be waiting for the morale of our army to decline again before launching an attack. However, our army was already at a disadvantage, and its morale fell to the bottom. Now with the help of His Majesty's personal expedition, the morale has improved, and they not attacking just gave our army an opportunity. Your Majesty only needs to send people to publicize that it is because the Dragon Emperor is afraid of you, so he temporarily stopped the attack. This will not only not reduce the morale of our army, but will also help to increase the morale. After hearing what 11's He said, Cao felt that it was very reasonable, so he didn't pay attention to it. He just found someone to propagate according to what 11's He said, that the Dragon Emperor was afraid of the Wei Emperor and did not dare to attack. However, all the beautiful fantasies of Cao and 11's He came to an abrupt end when the Imperial City Guards came to report that Jinfan army was attacking Jianyi. After hearing the news, Cao was filled with disbelief. The moat was diverted from the Yangtze River. If the Dragon Kingdom navy could reach Jianyi, they must have come across the sea. But how is it possible? Does the Dragon Kingdom already have ships that can sail in the sea? Even if Cao didn't want to believe it, it was the fact after all. In desperation, he had no choice but to bring his army back to aid Jianyi. However, once Cao's army left, Lu Feng was given a chance. Moreover, after Cao's army retreated, the news of the surprise attack on the capital spread like waterweed among the Suzhou defenders. In an instant, the morale of the Wei army fell to the bottom again. Naturally, Lu Feng would not miss this opportunity. Immediately, Ma Chao's vanguard army launched a fierce attack. At the same time, he himself also led the main army to march quickly. The two sides, who were originally evenly matched, instantly turned into a one-sided situation. Facing the million-strong army of the Dragon Kingdom, all the soldiers of the Wei Kingdom were powerless to fight back. Even before the Dragon Kingdom's army arrived, they followed Cao's footsteps and abandoned the city and fled. In this way, Lu Feng captured the entire territory of Suzhou without bloodshed, and even followed Cao's army all the way to Yangzhou. Even in Yangzhou, the home base of Wei State, the Dragon State army was still unstoppable, and it took only 2 days to capture Zhejiang County. Later, after Lu Feng left thousands of people to guard Zhejiang, he ordered the army to move forward. A few days later, the Long Kingdom army arrived at Luoyang County. In order to rescue Jianyi, Cao had just passed by Luoyang with his army, and he didn't even ask Cao about his purpose. Therefore, the defenders of Luoyang did not know that Jianyi was being besieged, and thought that Cao had been defeated by the Dragon Emperor and escaped. Because of this, the resistance in Luoyang County was still not fierce. Within 2 days, Luoyang also became the territory of the Dragon Kingdom. However, what made Cao even more desperate was that before he arrived, news came that Jianyi had been breached. Cao had no choice but to lead his army eastward, enter Wu County, and move the capital to Wu County to govern Wu County. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 317. Cao felt extremely helpless when his capital was destroyed. Originally, because the war on the front line was unfavorable, in order to boost morale, he took charge of the expedition himself. And because the Dragon State dispatched millions of troops and the Wei State did not have enough troops, he took most of the defenders of the capital with him and rushed to the front line. Everything he did was because he saw that the people in the capital were frowning all day long because of the unfavorable war, and he did it in order to win. However, he did not expect that it was precisely because of his move that the troops in Jianyi city were empty, which gave the Long Kingdom an opportunity to besiege Jianyi while he was away. In order to rescue Jianyi and protect the capital, Cao ignored the high morale of the army at the front and resolutely led his troops back to aid Jianyi. As a result, the morale of the soldiers at the front fell to the bottom again. Not only that, Cao retreated with his army and gave Lu Feng the opportunity to follow up and attack. The Dragon army attacked the rear of the Wei army, not only chasing down many of the Wei infantry following Cao, but also captured the entire territory of Suzhou and the two counties of Zhejiang and Luoyang in Yangzhou. Even if Cao arrived in Jianyi at this time and drove away the attacking Jinfan army, his personal expedition would have been a huge failure. However, the fact is that before Cao's army arrived in Jianyi, Jianyi had already been defeated by Jinfan's army. It was obvious that Cao had stolen the chicken but lost the rice, which really made him regretful. But while feeling regretful, Cao couldn't help but sigh at how powerful the Jinfan army's combat effectiveness was. In fact, Cao has been in control of Yangzhou for a long time. Although he has never met Gan Ning, he has long heard of Gan Ning and the Jinfan thieves. He knew that Gan Ning and his thousands of brothers gathered on the Yangtze River to rob wealthy families and merchants who passed by, but in most cases they only sought wealth and not life. Unless the person being robbed did something extremely egregious that angered Gan Ning or his brothers, the most they could do was to spend money to eliminate disaster. The Jinfan thief has been traversing the Yangtze River for many years, but he is still able to survive in these troubled times. Neither Liu Biao, Sun Jian, nor Cao sent troops to surround him. This is because the Jinfan thief has his own principles for robbery. First of all, the first point is that they only rob wealthy families and businessmen, and usually do not harm lives, and even if they rob wealth, not all of it is taken away. If it is a wealthy family, the Jinfan thief will only steal most of the money, and after asking about the other party's itinerary, they will leave appropriate travel expenses for them, so that they will not have nowhere to go. And if a merchant transports the goods, the principal will be left to the merchant, but the merchant will make a wasted trip and not lose everything. If it is a poor person, not only will they not rob his property, they may even give him some money. Another point is that the Jinfan thieves never robbed officers and soldiers. Whether it was Liu Biao's army before or Cao's people now, they never took action. It is precisely because of these rules of the Jinfan thieves, coupled with the vastness of the Yangtze River and their unpredictable whereabouts, that all the princes have always acquiesced in the Jinfan thieves' dominance on the Yangtze River. Of course, when it comes to water warfare capabilities, the princes from all walks of life do need to waste a lot of troops if they want to eliminate the Jinfan thieves. But what Cao didn't expect was that he had long known that Jinfan was powerful in water combat, but he didn't expect that he was not bad in land combat. Jianyi city is the capital of the Wei state. Cao renovates the city walls almost every year. Now the city is tall and not much easier to fight than the cities in Yuchun, Suchang and other large cities in the Central Plains. However, a group of navy troops actually broke through the city in just 2 days. This was something Cao never expected. In fact, what Cao didn't know was that today's Jinfan army was not just a navy army. Gan Ning's original 3,000 Jinfan thief brothers were naturally invincible in water combat. Not only that, Gan Ning was a top-notch military general, but his infantry and horse fighting abilities were both at the level of a first-class general. Under his training, his 3,000 Jinfan army naturally had strong land combat capabilities. The subsequent 30,000 soldiers Lu Feng gave to Gan Ning were all selected from the ordinary soldiers of the Dragon Kingdom with good agility. Therefore, the land combat effectiveness of these people is not weaker than that of ordinary soldiers. In addition, after going through the job transfer hall, they have all reached the level of an elite division of the third rank. It is natural to attack Jianyi, which is empty internally and has insufficient troops. If Cao had known that his capital would eventually be captured by Gan Ning and his Jinfan thieves, he would have eliminated Gan Ning before he defected to the Dragon Kingdom. Jianyi was captured, and while Cao led his army to the east to set up the capital in Wu County, Lu Feng did not follow Cao in hot pursuit, but continued to attack counties along the way. After capturing Luoyang County, the Long Kingdom army marched towards Danyang County. As the Wei capital was destroyed and Cao moved the capital to Wu County, the morale of the entire Wei army was damaged and almost reached rock bottom. Not only did the entire army's combat effectiveness decline, but they also lost their will to fight. Facing the powerful Dragon Kingdom army, the Danyang County defenders were even more difficult to resist. So Lu Feng divided his troops again, separated the millions of troops, and continued to march towards Wu County with the main force of the Chinese army, while Zhao Yun, Zhang Liao, Ma Chao, Tai Shisai and Zhou Yu each led 50,000 troops to attack Danyang counties in 5 directions. There are only 100,000 defenders in Danyang County, and there are 16 counties in Danyang County. Each county has less than 10,000 defenders. Facing the 50,000 Dragon Kingdom army, they are completely unable to defend. In just half a month, the 5 armies of the Dragon Kingdom achieved a complete victory and completely annexed Danyang County. There was almost no resistance in the Danyang counties, and several counties even declared surrender when the Dragon Kingdom army arrived at the city. After conquering Danyang County, the 5-pronged army rushed to join Lu Feng's main force of the Chinese army. At this time, Lu Feng had arrived outside Wu County. Before entering Wu County, Lu Feng divided his troops again. He ordered a single army to attack Xiantang County south of Wu County in order to strangle the fortress leading from Wu County to Kuiji County and prevent Cao from escaping again. At the same time, he himself led the army into Wu Commandery. Hundreds of thousands of troops arrived at the gate of Wu County, but Lu Feng did not launch an attack immediately, because he knew that Cao was in Wu County. Although the morale of the Wei army was low and there was almost no chance of victory, Lu Feng did not want to attack directly because of the so-called morning army that must win. Then he came up with a plan. He took Guojia to the gate of Wu County alone, ordered someone to bring the coffee table that he carried with the army, sat with Guojia, drank Longchen wine leisurely, and invited Cao and 11's He to go out of the city for a chat. If Cao did not agree, the morale of the Wei army would definitely fall to the bottom, so in order to stabilize morale, Cao and 11's He had no choice but to go out of the city to attend the appointment. After Cao and 11's sat down, Lu Feng personally poured Cao a glass of wine and said, "We haven't seen you for many years. Brother Mengda, are you okay? 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace." Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 318. We haven't a Euro trademark T seen each other for many years. Are you okay with Brother Mend? Brother Mengda, are you okay? The words of Dragon Emperor Lu Feng were like a spell, constantly reverberating in Cao's ears. In fact, a picture of his acquaintance and interaction with Lu Feng had appeared in his mind. When he first heard Lu Feng's name, he was still Han during the reign of Emperor Ling. Cao had just been promoted to the title of Xiaolian. Lu Feng was awarded the title of Xiaolian because he led 1,000 cavalrymen from Dashan village to attack Wuhuan city and killed the leader of Wuhuan, Suanfan. A lieutenant of Liaodong County, he also entered the Han Dynasty genealogy and was given a title by the emperor. Cao's grandfather Cao Teng once served as the great Changqiu and served in the palace for 30 years. Not only did he never make any mistakes, but he also served the country and the people many times. Emperor Huan accumulated a good reputation by recommending talents. Later, Cao's father Cao Song even rose to the rank of Taiwei, ranking first among the three princes. Cao's filial piety and integrity largely relied on the legacy of his grandfather Cao Teng and his father Cao Song. Lu Feng obtained it through Yin, and Lu Feng was transformed from a first-level commoner to a county captain because of his own hard work. This was the starting point of the two of them. Although one was Xiaolian and the other became a county captain, in fact, both it can be said that they are evenly matched. It was also at this time that after the Wuhuan tribe in Liaodong was eliminated, there were no more foreign races in the entire Liaodong county. Lu Feng shouted, "Anyone who bullies the Han people will be repaid 100-fold, and ask Cao to do it." Shocked and appreciated. After all, Cao was still a young man who was just starting out. He was born into a family of high officials. He had read poetry and books since he was a child and was arrogant and talented. It happened to coincide with the troubled times of the Han dynasty. The Han dynasty was about to collapse, and the common people were in dire straits. Wuhuan, Xianbei and other foreign tribes frequently invaded the territory. Cao, who was full of enthusiasm for serving the country, was naturally shocked by Lu Feng's words. Deep in his heart, he was already feeling sorry for this young man whom he had never met but had heard about. "I was so impressed that I even wanted to be like him, mount a war horse, pick up weapons and kill the invaders." It was precisely because of this enthusiasm that when the Yellow Turban Uprising broke out, Cao immediately responded to the court's call and led the cavalry to the court. With the official position of captain, he led officers and soldiers to fight against the Yellow Turban rebels. Of course, it was not only Cao who responded to the court's call. Lu Feng, who was a Liaodong commander at that time, also led the Liaodong cavalry to join the team of redressers. Of course, it was not just Cao who responded to the court's call. Unlike Cao, although the cavalry led by Lu Feng only had 1,000 people, their combat effectiveness was comparable to that of 10,000 people. Lu Feng took these 1,000 cavalry to support Lu Ji, who was blocked at that time, and in one battle, the two most important leaders of the Yellow Turban Army, Zhang Qiao and Zhang Liang, were killed. Later, the Yellow Turban Army, Chu Xuibo, wreaked havoc in Changxi. Huang Fusong and Zhu Jun, two of the most prestigious military lieutenant generals in the Yuan dynasty, led the soldiers to rehabilitate themselves. However, they encountered stubborn resistance from Bo Cai's army. So, both Lu Feng and Cao led their troops to Changxi to support them. At this time, Lu Feng once again showed the style of a great Han dynasty dragon general, General Changxi with a fire. The Yellow Turban Army in the city was forced into a desperate situation and killed Bo Cai on the spot. It was not until all the Yellow Turban remnants in Changxi were killed by Lu Feng and others that Cao arrived at Changxi. This was also the first time Cao and Lu Feng met. Although at this time, Cao was already familiar with Lu Feng's name, but when he first met Lu Feng, he was still deeply impressed. But compared to the already famous dragon general of the Han dynasty, Cao was just a lot of officials in the court at this time. A member of the group, but still unknown. Later, because of Lu Feng's contribution in quelling the Yellow Turban Uprising, and because the former Liaodong governor was reported for colluding with foreign races, Emperor Ling appointed Lu Feng as the new Liaodong governor. At this time, Lu Feng was only a teenager and had become a prince. Cao was also named the northern lieutenant of Luoyang for his role in pacifying the Yellow Turbans. Later, Lu Feng led 3,000 Dragon City cavalry deep into Goguryeo, beheaded the king of Goguryeo and returned, shocking the world again. He was even named a champion by Emperor Ling, comparable to the famous former Han general Huo Qubing. After that, after Lu Feng eradicated the aristocratic families in Liaodong, he led an expedition of 10,000 troops to Goguryeo, wiped out all the hundreds of thousands of Goguryeo troops, and divided the territory of Goguryeo into the territory of the Han dynasty. Because of this contribution to the expansion of territory, Lu Feng was named king of Liaodong by Emperor Ling and became the consort of the Han dynasty. Later, a large-scale rebellion broke out in Liangzhou, and the imperial army failed to defeat the rebels after several expeditions. Therefore, Lu Feng, the king of Liaodong, was once again ordered to go to Liangzhou as a supervisor. As expected, he did not disappoint. It didn't take long for him to pacify Liangzhou, and he was once again named the Yizi king by Emperor Ling. He became a very popular minister and his reputation reached its peak for a while. Not to be outdone, Cao, with the support of General He Jin, became one of the 8 captains of Z1 and became the Dianjun captain, and worked with Yuan Shao to eradicate the eunuchs. Then Dong Zhou entered Beijing, deposed the new emperor, and caused chaos in the government. Cao, with a heart to serve the country, went to the prime minister's mansion alone to assassinate Dong Zhou. Although he was ultimately unsuccessful, his reputation was truly resounding throughout the world for the first time. At this time, Cao finally rivaled Lu Feng in reputation for the first time. Cao then escaped from Luoyang, dispersed his wealth in Zhenliu and acquired thousands of soldiers and horses, and issued a proclamation inviting all the princes in the world to jointly attack Dongzhou. So Cao's reputation once again spread among the Han people, and King Bingjian also came with his army. This was the second meeting between Lu Feng and Cao, and the first time they fought side by side. Lu Feng became the leader of the alliance army and consolidated the scattered alliance. Not only did he defeat Lu Buletin, but he also defeated Dongzhou so much that he was forced to move the capital to Chang'an. However, he was caught up and killed by Lu Feng on the road. But no one expected that Li Eryu would be so crazy that he killed Emperor Xian of the Han dynasty when he was desperate, which led to the subsequent chaos in the world and the struggle for hegemony among the princes. Later, Cao and Lu Feng turned from comrades in arms to rivals. The princes were divided and the 8 kingdoms stood side by side. The 3 kingdoms stand in harmony. Although Cao has always regarded Lu Feng as the goal of his life and the opponent he most wants to catch up with, but now, he knows that he may not be able to surpass this goal in his life. As for the situation of the 3 kingdoms, I believe it will not be long before it is broken. Maybe in half a month, maybe in just a few days, the Wei kingdom will be annexed by the Dragon kingdom, and the 2 countries will compete for hegemony. After that, the Shu kingdom will inevitably be unable to withstand the Dragon kingdom's attack, and sooner or later the world will become Lu Feng's alone. Thinking of this, Cao finally came back to his senses and looked at the Dragon Emperor Lu Feng, who he had not seen for many years and whose face had become much more mature. He took a sip of wine and said with a smile, "When the Dragon Emperor was the leader of the alliance in the past, I knew that the Dragon Emperor was a lifelong rival. However, I still underestimate the Dragon Emperor. But I have always been curious, when did the Liang Kingdom join the Dragon Kingdom?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 319. When did Liang Kingdom take refuge with me? Lu Feng couldn't help but be startled when he heard Cao's question. He thought that Cao, as a heroic leader, would have some profound questions, but he didn't expect that he would be such a gossip. However, when Lu Feng saw the 3 kingdoms in his previous life, he was attracted by Cao's. I was impressed by his courage and broad-mindedness, and knew that he was a man of true temperament. Even when he was defeated in Chibi, encountered numerous pursuers on the way to escape, and his life was in danger, he still laughed several times. Although every time he laughed, he would still laugh. There was a new ambush, but he was still optimistic and was not even upset about the defeat. Compared with the fate of being killed at any time at that time, the two people drinking and talking in front of the two armies at this time had nothing to do with each other. What kind of crisis? So Lu Feng thought about it and was relieved. Moreover, I am afraid that not only Cao was curious about this question, but the deceased Feng Emperor Yuan Shao must be even more curious. After all, his Feng kingdom could be said to have been harmed by the Liang kingdom. Then Lu Feng said with a smile, Brother Mengde, do you still remember that before the 8 kingdoms were established, a battle broke out between Ma Teng and Han Sui in Liangzhou to compete for the rule of Liangzhou? Cao listened to Lu Feng's words, nodded and said, Brother, I naturally remember that Ma Teng has the General Pound under his command, and Han Sui also has the first-class General Yan Xing under his command. The two sides can be said to be evenly matched in terms of force and strength, but Han Sui, the old fox, is very cunning. Although Ma Teng is brave, he does not have much strategy. So as the battle progressed, Ma Teng was tricked several times by Han Sui and gradually fell into a disadvantage. But just when everyone thought that Liangzhou would fall into the hands of Han Sui and Ma Teng would be driven out of Liangzhou, Ma Teng's army suddenly burst out with a huge fighting force and defeated Han Sui. Not only was Yan Xing beheaded on the spot, but almost all Han Sui's soldiers were integrated into Ma Teng's command, and Han Sui was also executed by Ma Teng. This matter has been known to the world for a long time. Could it be related to Tiankai Xiandi? At this time, as the atmosphere of the chat between Cao and Lu Feng became more and more heated, the two not only recalled the prosperous years in the past, but also changed their names. They no longer called themselves me, and they called each other the same as when they first met. With words commensurate with each other, everything was as cordial and harmonious as if old friends who had not seen each other for many years met again. Regarding Cao's rhetorical question, Lu Feng naturally smiled and replied, Brother Mengde is indeed very clever. In fact, when Ma Teng defeated Han Sui, not only related to the younger brother, but also the younger brother helped him. Cao was shocked when he heard this and asked, how is this possible? At that time, Xiandi only had the land of Yuzhu. If he wanted to lead his army to Liangzhou to help Ma Teng, he had to either cross Bingzhou or bypass Jizhu and Sizhu. But no matter which path you take, it is impossible not to be noticed by others. Yuan Shao, Lu Buletin, and even Li Ju and Guo Si, who were still in Sizhu at the time, will all discover the reinforcements of Xiandi. If this is the case, even if they don't make it known to the whole world, at least they will be warned, and Yuan Shao and Lu Buletin will not be deceived by Ma Teng and lose their thrones. Lu Feng saw Cao's face full of disbelief. He was amused in his heart, but he didn't show it on his face. He just picked up the wine glass, filled it up for the two of them again, and then said Brother Mengde was affected by his fixed thinking. Forgot that there is another road to the north. Cao originally picked up the wine glass to drink, but after listening to Lu Feng's words, he suddenly thought of a possibility. His hand shook, but he almost dropped the wine glass to the ground. He looked at Lu Feng and asked tentatively, could it be that did Brother Xian pass through the foreign territory north of Bingzhou and arrive at Liangzhou? Lu Feng laughed loudly and said, Brother Mengde finally remembered. To be honest, I ordered Ma Chao to lead 3,000 Dragon City cavalry, pass through the Xianbei and Xiongnu territories, and enter Liangzhou to help Ma Teng defeat Han Sui. Ma Chao is Ma Teng's eldest son, and he was adopted as a disciple by his younger brother. He kept him by his side for many years and taught him a lot, helping him grow from a second-rate military commander to a first-rate military commander at the time. Both Ma Chao and Ma Teng cared deeply for their younger brother. Grateful. Especially after helping Ma Teng capture Liangzhou, Ma Teng secretly formed an alliance with his younger brother under Ma Chao's persuasion. After listening to Lu Feng's words, Cao suddenly realized, so, it's like this. We traveled through the territories of Xianbei and Xiannu. No wonder none of us noticed it. This is unthinkable for others. Only Xiandi's army has such strength and courage. With only 3,000 troops, it dared to cross the entire Xianbei and Xiannu territories. This Dragon City Iron Cavalry has become a nightmare for the foreign races. As soon as they heard the reputation of the Dragon City Iron Cavalry, all the foreign races wanted to hide far away. How could they dare to come out to intercept the virtuous brother? The military strength of Xiandi's army is rare in ancient and modern times. Lu Feng laughed loudly, and then said, Brother Mengda, don't just talk about me. To be honest, the world has been in chaos for a long time, and the princes in various places have separated themselves. It is my honor for Brother Mengda to treat him as his lifelong enemy. To be honest, I have long admired Brother Mengda for his kindness and magnanimity. Although all the princes in this world are coexisting, in my eyes, only Brother Mengda deserves to be taken seriously, and the rest are not worthy of fear. For example, Yuan Shu in Huainan and Yuan Shao in Hebei had 4 generations and 3 dukes, and many old officials. One had sufficient military supplies and the other was in Jizhu, so there were many capable subordinates. However, Yuan Shao's is timid, and he is always scheming. He cherishes his life when he does great things, and forgets his life when he sees small gains. He is definitely not a hero, and Yuan Shu is also a withered bone in the grave, so let's not mention it. Lu Jingsheng of Jingzhou was known as the 8 Heroes, and he was powerful in all 9 states. However, his name was empty and he was not a hero. Lu Jiyu from Yizhu, although he was from the clan, was a housekeeper, so how could he be considered a hero? Another example is Zhang Xiu, Zhang Lu, Han Sui, and others. They are all mediocre people, so why should they be taken seriously? Only Zhang Dong Tiger X went of fought bravely. Although he looked like a hero, compared with Brother Mengda, he was simple-minded and lacked strategy. A hero is a man who has great ambitions, a good plan, the opportunity to contain the universe, and the ambition of heaven and earth. As for the heroes of the world, in my opinion, the only 2 are Brother Mengda and me. After hearing this, Cao immediately stroked his beard and smiled and said, My dear brother, these words have won me the heart of my brother. That Liu Bei was hiding like a dog, hiding in Tibet, and secretly killed Liu Yan and his son. All his kindness is just a pretense. Lu Feng also smiled and said, Exactly. That's why I'm willing to sit here and talk with Brother Mengda. At this time, Cao suddenly said, Brother Xian, I have been following Journey to the West and Dream of Red Mansions from Longchen newspaper. I really want to see the finale, but I don't know if I still have a chance. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 320. After listening to Cao's words, Lu Feng felt a little sad in his heart for some reason. Cao, the once-in-a-lifetime hero, faced his own army at this time. He did not beg for mercy or have any heroic ambitions. He just wanted to know the endings of his 2 novels, A Dream of Red Mansions and Journey to the West. Just like the most ordinary readers and fans. Moreover, Cao should know that he and himself will inevitably have a decisive battle, and in the end only one person can survive, and this person will almost certainly not be Cao. That's why he said that he wanted to read the endings of these 2 novels, but he didn't know if he still had the chance. In fact, Lu Feng knew very well that based on his admiration for Cao in his previous life, as long as Cao begged for mercy and was willing to submit to the Dragon Kingdom camp, he would definitely let him live and let him hold an important position in the Dragon Kingdom, and he would be with him. conquer the world together. However, Lu Feng knew better that according to Cao's character of refusing to admit defeat and not bowing his head easily, he would definitely not take the initiative to say begging for mercy. He would rather die than beg for mercy easily, otherwise, he would not be Cao, and he would not admire him so much. But at this time, Lu Feng thought again, since Cao is unwilling to take the initiative to beg for mercy, why not just offer him to submit, and then leave him a way out and give him a chance to read all the chapters of Journey to the West and Dream of Red Mansions? However, this idea was rejected by Lu Feng himself as soon as he came up with it. This is Cao. By saying this, aren't you just pitying him? According to his competitive character, how can he accept the mercy of others? If he had said such words, although Cao's city would not explode immediately, he would definitely be angry in his heart, and even the beautiful atmosphere of the two chatting just now would be gone. For such a lifelong hero, the best result for him is to use all his strength to fight him fairly. This is not unkind, on the contrary, it is giving him enough respect. After thinking about all this, Lu Feng no longer thought too much, but smiled magnanimously at Cao and said, "What's so difficult about this? Although these two books are both serialized and have not yet reached the ending, it stands to reason that they are not. It should be revealed to others. But Brother Mengde and I are so in love and have been friends for a long time, so what if I tell you all the ending? But now that you and I are drinking here, there is no paper and pen for me to write down the following chapters. Then let me tell Brother Mengde." After hearing Lu Feng's words, Cao suddenly became interested and said with a smile, "This is really great, 3 or 2 friends, a few bottles of wine, plus 2 paragraph stories are really a blessing in life." After listening to Cao's words, Lu Feng immediately picked up the wine glass, raised his glass to Cao and said, "After finishing this glass of wine, I will come and tell all the subsequent chapters for Brother Mengde. I'll do it next. Well, Brother Mengde, Zk and Feng Xiao, you are free to do so, you don't a Euro trademark tea have to drink with me, just listen to the story and taste the wine after." Lu Feng finished speaking, he raised his head and drank the wine in the cup. Guojia smiled and said, "I drank this cup too, and just poured another cup. Why not drink it in small sips and it's not enough?" After that, he drank it all in one gulp. Cao and 11's Hk drank all the wine in their hands while shouting happily. Lu Feng didn't care about this, and immediately slowly told all the subsequent stories of Journey to the West and Dream of Red Mansions. Not only Cao, but also Guojia and 11's Hk were fans of Lu Feng's books. Now that Lu Feng was ready to tell the whole story in one breath, they naturally listened attentively. Whether it was the bizarre Journey to the West or the delicate and moving Dream of Red Mansions, Cao and the 3 of them were mesmerized. In Journey to the West, the 4 masters and disciples of Tang Monk, in order to obtain the true scripture, went through 81 hardships, defeated all kinds of monsters, demons, and monsters, and finally achieved enlightenment, which made the 3 of them thrilling and excited. In the Red Mansion, the 4 major families of Jia, Wang, Shi, and Shui, from being extremely wealthy to rivaling the country, to the intrigues among everyone in the mansion, and the lingering love between Baoke Daiyu and Jia Baiyu, finally disappeared, which made the 3 of them very sad. The 4 of them talked about these 2 novels from morning to night, and from night to midnight. In the meantime, they drank all the wine, and Lu Feng ordered someone to bring them good tea and cakes. At this moment, they forgot that they were on the battlefield and their hostile relationship with each other. They were just 3 book fans who listened carefully to Lu Feng's story. Finally, Lu Feng finished telling the 2 stories, but his mouth was dry and he drank 3 bowls of tea in a row. Seeing how hard Lu Feng was working, Cao quickly took the initiative to pour water for Lu Feng and said, "Brother Tiankai, how did you come up with these stories? When I first started reading, I told Zk I have said that your mind is extraordinary. Not only are you highly skilled in martial arts, but you are also proficient in reciting poetry and playing the piano. Alas, if it weren't a Euro trademark tea for this damn troubled world, you and I would definitely become best friends. After listening to Cao's words, Lu Feng felt in his heart there was also a feeling of loss, and he stayed for a few seconds before speaking. When I first met Brother Mend, I wanted to have an in-depth communication with you. Unfortunately, I was tired of the war and missed the opportunity. Later, we caught up with the troubled times. You and we are so far apart from each other, what a fate. When it comes to this, I suddenly feel poetic, so I sit down and write a poem for Brother Mengda to express my emotions. Cao was overjoyed and said, I have read a few articles by Xian Di. Excellent work, my virtuous brother. A Euro trademark S poems are truly unparalleled in the world. If I can write a poem for my virtuous brother today, I will die with no regrets. After listening to this, Lu Feng closed his eyes and thought of his understanding of Cao in this life and his previous life. Slowly said, if life is just like the first time we met, why should the autumn wind draw a fan sadly? It is easy to change people's hearts, but they say that people's hearts are easy to change. Qianglong's words are over in the middle of the night, and the tears and rain are still ringing without complaint. How unlucky is the man in brocade to wish for the same day with wings and branches. This was originally Nalan Rongruo's Mulan poem, but it was very suitable for this situation. So when chatting with Cao, this poem appeared in Lu Feng's mind unconsciously. So he wrote this poem. It just expressed his emotions. But to suit the occasion, he changed Lishan in the original word to Qianglong, which corresponds to Qianglong Mountain, the first mountain in Suzhou outside Wu County where Cao was at this time. And Cao originally he has very high attainments in poetry. In his previous life, he was even ranked as one of the 7 sons of Jianan. Although he did not write many poems in this life due to frequent wars, his understanding of poetry is still there. After Lu Feng finished one poem, Cao stood stunned on the spot for a moment.